What's going on, guys? This is Bikes on Business coming at you here with another one. I wanted to talk about this weekend's motocross race at Hangtown, the second race of the motocross series. And honestly, Chase Sexton put on a beast mode performance. A beast mode performance reminiscent of that of Eli Tomac back in the day, who is my favorite racer. He pulled a Eli Tomac beast mode, and he went from worst to first in the second moto after going first place in the first moto. And as I'm sure you're all aware, Jett crashed out in the first moto, didn't even end up scoring points, finished something like 24th place. And at first Chase started off a little bit slow, and I was like, come on dude, I mean, you're #1 competitive, the guy who's been beating you since all last year just went down. This is your time to capitalize. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, but he was kind of getting off to a slow start. Chase himself didn't get the best start in the first moto, and then slowly but surely he started finding his beast mode flow, and yeah, he just ended up passing everyone that first moto and getting first place, maximizing the amount of points he could score over Jett. And then in the second moto, I could not believe my eyes. I mean, the first corner of the first turn on the start, and he washes the back end without a single person bumping him. It was like he just lost traction, like Chase is known to do, either with the front end or the back end. In this case, it was the back end, and he just washed it out, and I sank back in my seat. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, because you know, he's such a good rider, but how many times do you see him just in the wrong place at the wrong time? Here Jett is, you know, he's obviously hurt for this second moto, and it's Chase's opportunity once again, maximize points. And what does he do? He washes the front in the start. I could not believe it. I was with my girlfriend at the time. I'm calling him a bonehead. I'm like, what are you doing? You're in dead last place. Why do you do this, Chase? This is the one race where you do not have to push the traction on the start. I mean, your competitor just crashed out of the first race. All you had to do was get a mediocre start, and you can begin to work from there, knowing that Jett was 17 points down on the first moto. I mean, you just had to get an average start, not even a great start. And what does he do? He crashes. But then he takes another minute or so to start finding his flow, but he very calmly gets back on his bike, starts passing bunches of people in the back end. He gets around people like Norin, he gets around people like Ferrandis, and then after he passed a couple of those people in the back, we're watching, and you know, the next person up another 10 or so seconds is something like Barsha in 7th or 8th place. And he had already passed, you know, some of the worst motocross riders out that were already out there, like Craig, or unfortunately in this case Ferrandis, who's actually a good rider, but we know what the story is there. So, you know, I'm thinking, okay, you know, he made a couple passes in the back, and now he's going to go charge towards the front, but he's a ways off of the head group. So in other words, he passed all the people who have really fallen behind already. And I'm thinking that's just about all he's going to do. He's riding really well, he's flowing, he is making up time, but you know, he passed the back end, and now he's another 10 seconds or so away from Barsha, and then a 10 seconds after that up to the next place. And sure enough, you know, he does it. He just starts closing that gap. He gets around Barsha. You know, he just starts finding lines and picking people off. Then he eventually, you know, ends up catching up to, I believe, might have been Anderson. You know, Anderson was a ways off there too, and I think Anderson ended up going down, and Chase went around him, gets around him, and he's got other good people in front of him, like Hunter. He's got Justin Cooper in front of him, and at the time even Jett. But you know, he just starts going around these guys, and he's ripping around the track. The back end is dancing from left to right, and he just does not give a shit. He's hauling it down the downhills. Again, the back end is just dancing around left to right, chattering, while all these people are in a smooth line, and he's just flooring it. He doesn't give a fuck that the back end is stepping out. He's just moving, and he's moving at a 3-second clip, 4-second clip faster than anyone else on the track. Now, while this is happening, Jett was initially, you know, pretty far ahead of Chase in that second moto, and was putting up a fight up front, you know, getting around his brother, getting around Anderson, and then getting passed back. But, you know, he eventually ends up fading backwards, Jett does, and towards the end of the race, they're coming around. I think it was him, and it was Chase and Hunter battling hard. Chase and Hunter were really battling. And he gets around Hunter right in front of his brother pretty much, so they both lap Jett, and Chase is just hounding Hunter, and shortly thereafter passes him with an amazing pass. Yeah, and then I believe, oh, who could forget Plessinger, right? So the second moto, Plessinger's just like checked out all the way in the front, so, you know, Chasey gets around Barsha, Anderson, Hunter, Justin Cooper, Jett, all these people, but he's miles off of first place. He might have been like 20 or 30 seconds off of first place, and then once finishing the majority of those passes, he was still about 10 seconds off of first place. With only about 4 or 5 laps to go or so. Starts closing the gap, about 3 laps to go. It's still 3 or 2 laps to go. It's about 7 seconds. And people are thinking, nah, you know, he's not going to push it. He's already got the overall. With the 1-2, he would have won overall for the day. You know, he's thinking he's not going to push it. And what's he do? He just hauls absolute ass, ripping the win, Plessinger's potential first moto win, away from his teammate at the last fucking 2 turns in the track. The last quarter lap passes Plessinger, makes the last couple turns, and takes the win right out from under his teammate's potential first moto win. I mean, that is a guy who straight up does not give a fuck. Now, there's no rivalry between Plessinger and Sexton. I'm sure in another world, if it was someone else, Sexton would have loved for Plessinger to get his first moto win. But after what happened at the start of the race and the clip that he was going, you could very well tell that Chase just did not give a fuck. He was coming for that win. It didn't matter if he had to take it from his own fucking parents or from his fucking, you know, Jesus Christ himself. He was coming around that track and he was taking that win from fucking anybody. He did not care. And I just loved that attitude. I wish he would have that attitude earlier on, and, you know, in some of these races. Not on the start, though. You got to be careful on these starts. Just get it through the first turn. Try and bob and weave. Don't push the front traction so much on the first turn. You're going to slide out and be buried. He's done that so many times in Supercross and Motocross. But, yeah, it's really like, it was amazing to see. It was so reminded me of the outdoors of Tomac, just being dead last or close to last and just hauling it, absolutely banging off every turn, fucking roosting the shit out of the fucking cameraman, and just absolutely fucking flying for like 4 seconds a lap faster than the whole field consistently, and then just getting to the front out of nowhere. That's why people created the name Beast Mode back in the day for Tomac doing that. And Sexton has it too. He's got that beast mode, and, you know, unfortunately though, with that, he has some of the same problems Tomac has of just being in the wrong place at the wrong time, or being consistently winning and then tragic things happening to you, where you think about how many championships Tomac would have had if none of those, if his pants didn't blow off, or if he didn't just eat shit in MetLife in one of the last couple races to go in one of the series. There was like 2, I mean, obviously your Achilles tendon popping was, I mean, the epitome of Tomac. I mean, he would have like 3 straight more Supercross championships if it wasn't for one race in each of those where something just either alien-like or weird or tragic happened to Eli Tomac and just took the championship from him. Feel similarly about Sexton. Yeah, I mean, I really think that he's in a great place now, because the field is pretty thin outside of like Hunter, Lawrence, and Justin Cooper, Chase Sexton, and Jett. So I think that Chase Sexton is definitely better than Justin Cooper and Hunter Lawrence. They're going to give him problems, but he's better than both those guys. So the way he is now, I think he's like 17 or so points ahead of Jett Lawrence in the championship, after he went 1-1 obviously in the first race. or 1-1 in Pala. So I think if he just gets second place consistently, just no matter what, battle for that second place. You can let Jett get 1-1 all day long. I mean, it's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. I mean, more than half the races at this point, if he just always finishes second place, and even if Jett is going 1-1, he's still going to have the points lead for another 6 or 7 races. There's only 11 in the series with 2 down, so it's 9 races left. I think all Chase has to do is just consistently get second place, and eventually he will, you know, he'll come out the champion. Now, if Chase does not get second places, you know Jett's going to be there to go 1-1, and that lead is going to get eaten up very fucking quickly. So my strategy, if I was Chase, was instead of focusing on trying to beat Jett in a 1-to-1 battle and then potentially eating shit, or, you know, putting so much pressure on yourself as the champion that you end up going down or making stupid mistakes and giving up that second place, he should just ride these next couple rounds that, like, Jett Lawrence isn't even there. Doesn't matter what Jett is doing or not doing, or going 1-1 or not. For the next, at least the next 5 races, Chase just needs to go out there and beat the shit out of Justin Cooper and Hunter Lawrence, get those second places, and then likely Jett will either have a bad race or something's going to happen. And if Jett continues to go 1 and eats up that lead, well, then later on down the road, then you challenge him to the mono-y-mono duel. But right now, Chase has just got to focus on getting those second place results, because that's going to force Jett to have to go 1-1 every race for the remaining, again, there's only 9. 9 times 3 is only like 27. So there's only 27 points up for grabs for Jett if he's able to beat, you know, go 1-1 out the rest of the season. And I do not think that's going to happen, you know, because Chase can, like I said, if Jett goes on another winning streak, he can turn up the heat later on and really pressure Jett into another, you know, potentially mistake. The last thing I'll say is we don't know what condition that Jett is going to be in next race. After the way he was looking that race, I mean, I know that the team is saying it's something that's going to heal up very quickly, and he's not really injured. There's nothing broken. There's nothing too bad off that crash, which was pretty gnarly. But I just don't know if I see Jett coming out next weekend in Colorado and going 1-1. I think he's going to have another weekend where he's a little bit off, just still feeling that crash a little bit. I don't think he's going to be pushing the envelope. I'm sure the win streak's coming again, but next weekend I think he's still going to be a little shaken up from that crash. So yeah, that's my evaluation for the 450 main at Hangtown. It was a great week in the moto. I talked to my brother after that race, and he was just like, holy shit, I just sat down and watched all 4 motos and it was awesome. And I was like, yes, same. It was fucking awesome. Even the 250s with Hayden Deegan absolutely ripping, and then that helicopter crash, and Tom Vial ripping. It was really good racing all around. This for me motivated me to come out here and make this video. I don't care who watches it. I hope people watch it, but it just motivated me to get out and do a video. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't do maybe a single video this whole Supercross season. I just was a little bummed out with the changes they made with the 9-whoop section, taking out Dragon's bags, taking out a ton of sections each race. They were like babying down all of the tracks in Supercross all season long. Fucking way too cookie cutter, the same jumps, same sections every track. And then you combine that with the fact that like more than half the races were a mud race. It was almost tough to be. It was one of the tougher moto seasons to be a fan of the sport, because it really should have been one of the best seasons ever. I mean, Eli Tomac, we thought, you know, again, he's my favorite racer, so I watched every race, and we thought he was going to be retired after that Achilles. We thought he wasn't even coming back. You had Jett Lawrence, who was coming into his rookie year in the 450 class. The field was absolutely fucking stacked with talent, amazing racing, but the tracks were so fucking bad. It was unbearable. I couldn't believe the tracks that like, it was such wasted potential, because you had the best field in all of the fucking history of the sport, essentially. I mean, when else are you gonna, how many times are you gonna get to see Jett, Eli, Chase, all healthy, all in a Supercross season? Plessinger in there, Ken Roxon in there, Adam Cincerillo's last season. It should have been an iconic season, and nobody even talks about it. I mean, everybody hated the tracks. I saw it. We all saw the comments. Mike Pelletier, I don't know, or whoever's in charge of this, you need to change this. The tracks need to be better next year. We cannot go through another season of this. The weather is the weather. I don't blame anyone for that. They did the best what they could with the mutters, but it's no excuse for removing sections constantly. There's like all these tracks with like 7 just it seemed like 6 or 7 just straight line sections, like flat track. There was just no obstacles, and when there were obstacles, they were either just basic triples or jump through 9 whoopers. Like, it was horrendous. I couldn't believe it. There's got to be better tracks next year. And with that, that's all. I mean, welcome back to Bikes on Business. I'm hopefully going to be putting out a video once a week. This is going to be a good summer. Talk to you guys soon.